What are they fighting on? Louder! I said...
A River Runs Through It, 1992 film directed by Robert Redford, starring a very young Brad Pitt, amongst others. James Robbins, let's start it off. What did you think? What was your initial reaction to this film?
I absolutely bloody loved it. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely loved it. So, I think...
Really?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It gave me all the feels, made me cry. It did make me cry.
You bought a fly fishing kit on Amazon, have you?
Yeah.
Just in the bar.
What did you like specifically, James?
Probably undercutting Robin's passion for this movie, though.
Just cracking jokes.
Yeah, the wit kind of
rainbow fish it.
Reel it back in, lads. Reel it back in. James, what was your what was it that you liked so much then specifically?
So I think that this film used the inevitability of the character arcs so well, so that Brad Pitt's character arc was the most inevitable thing ever. Like it was just like a matter of time as to when it happened, and I felt that from very, very early on in the film. And I think that the film used that in a way to build tension, to build stakes at the right times, to build the struggle of the main character of Norman in a way that I hadn't seen before, and I loved that. I loved it. And I think the other thing which the film did really well, and I think I've seen it in films before, I can't quite nail down a specific example, but where you have this stern father figure.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I know what from, by the way, before you, because I wanted to just, sorry, I interrupted you, but
is it from Legends of the Fall? Is it from Legends? It is from Legends of the Fall. Okay, I thought I'd nailed it down to that, and I wasn't quite sure. But you have like a stern
Legends of the Fall vibes as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has quite a lot of that, which is, I think I love both those films, so I think I love this one just the same way I love that one. But they had the stern father figure who was great because he demanded a certain level of respect, but it wasn't in a way where he also was willing to love his children equally as well. He loved, you could tell he loved them. The film made me cry. The reason why it made me cry is the bit when you can just feel how overjoyed he is at his son getting into college. Like I don't know. There's just something so special about that. I loved it.
I thought at first it was going to be when they portrayed him as really, really strict, really religious. I thought it was going to be like a Green Mile warden type character who crushed them, but he wasn't. He was actually, he was stern and set in his ways, but he was, as you say, he was quite benevolent.
He was very apathetic in raising his children. He was teaching them a lesson that he wasn't being an enforcer as such, was he? It was more of he was just teaching his children almost the correct way of the time.
Also, some cracking geology knowledge. Like the first scene, he picks us up. He's like, this slate was made 500 million years ago. I was like, you're meant to be like a Presbyterian minister. Like, do you believe in creation?
Yeah. Well, just to add context to it, I don't know if you've had a chance to look around the film in terms of the story itself. Norman Maclean. It's actually a semi-autobiographical
story, isn't it?
book that is adapted into a film, written by Norman Maclean. Who remembers from the film? Maclean.
It's with a small L, remember, as well.
Yeah, capital. Yeah,
not from the Scottish Lowlands.
Exactly.
Only Brad Pitt makes it with a capital L. It's semi-autobiographical. Norman actually had like 3 sisters. The stuff with Paul is true, all of it. But he did have a bigger family than that and all that. So there's a bit of creative license with that. But it's adapted from the book quite honestly. Even if the book has been changed from reality, I think it does a really good job on it. Actually, it's a charming film. It's really it's nice. I felt the pacing was fine. It lacks. I mean, the climax, like you say, James. The climax is you're expecting that for about an hour and a half, and then it happens at the end.
They keep building up the tension to suggest that Brad Pitt's character is going to die. Like they do it 3 times, I think. They really forebode it and make it seem like something shit's going to happen, and then it kind of like recycles. Like when he goes to that poker bar and it's like bare tense and the atmosphere is proper quiet and you hear a couple of feet shifting around and it's proper foreboding. And then it like obviously reaches the climax where like something's kicking off in the office. And then they go back to the car.
They do it really well.
Yeah, they go back to the car and like the matey's saying, tomorrow we'll go fly fishing, and you're like, nah, he's not going to see 6:30. He's not going to see 6:30.
Yeah, I definitely thought that.
Like he's not even going to reach the following morning. Like this is it. This is that moment. And then Robert Redford manages to just subvert your expectations. And he does that once or twice. And then obviously the final time is in the river. Where he reckons he's getting like washed downstream and shit. Like, oh shit, this is it for him.
Yeah.
And then obviously he survives. And you're like, oh nice, happy ending. And then he drags the fucking rug from underneath you again and gets him fucking killed.
Yeah.
I just thought the way that they built it up like 3 times, that kind of like flux and flow, I thought that was done really well.
They hinted it throughout the film, like right at the start when they're like running out to jump in the car with their mates.
Yeah.
Like he just sort of looks down and jumps off the roof. Paul, this is, and then his brother looks at it carefully and goes, "Oh no, I'm climbing the drain pipe and trying to swim."
Yeah. Paul's the wild one from the start, isn't he? You get that impression. Tom, what did you think? I feel like your opinion might differ slightly.
Yeah. See, I thought the film was flat. Completely. I think the inevitability of the character arcs just makes it completely anticlimactic. As you said, it's one of those films where you can predict the end of the movie from within the first 20 minutes. And I didn't.
When did you realise, or when did you know what you thought the end of the film would be? Like when about did you have that realisation?
Well, because when you get about halfway, you realise that it's a slow build, but it's because it is that autobiographical nature. It's not a written tale, so there's nothing jumping out plot wise because it is just their lives. So it's like a snapshot of their life, but it's over quite a brief period as well. So you realise there must be kind of an end point as the characters aren't really aging once he comes back from college. And you kind of get glimpses of it when they first go in that boat, and he's obviously the reckless one jumping around, and Norman's left on the shore. But I just felt it kind of reminded me that if you're going to tell an autobiographical story, I don't want it told from a person that doesn't provide any animation to the tale. So do you remember the film Legend, the Cray twins with Tom Hardy? I thought that was a film that was brilliant, and he was brilliant. It could have been so strong, but I think it was told from the wrong perspective, because it was told from the perspective of the wife. And I really don't think that Norman's perspective or the narration really lent anything to it. It reminded me of like the Shawshank narration, but a terrible version of. And I just really found the film quite boring the whole way through, if I'm being honest.
So if you could choose another perspective to have the film told from, who would it be? What other character?
It would either be the father with the struggle between the two, or you'd want it told from Paulie's kind of chaotic angle, just for myself. Just if it's going to be a film that is autobiographical, where there's in reality not much going on. I guess it is a relationship-based film, but I don't know. I never felt any emotion through it. Even his connection with when Norman had his girlfriend. The only interesting character was her brother coming back from California, which I thought was done quite well. I enjoyed those scenes. But other than that, the film didn't really give me much. And because, like we said, we all agree we could see the end.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you not really relate to Norman then, you don't think?
No, not really. I just found the narration was kind of at patchy points as well. That didn't really lend any kind of emotion to it. He's quite like a mute character, so you don't actually get to delve deep into his psyche. Like, I guess that's part of his persona, and you can kind of you're meant to get it from his acting, but I didn't really feel like that. I didn't get like a struggle from it.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that you find it more interesting told from the father's perspective. Because I think if you had the father telling it from his perspective, it'd be very similar to Norman's, because I think the perspective that Norman is telling it from is that final message that lands at the end of the film in the father's sermon is that he identifies that his brother needs help, is offering it to him, but knows that no matter what he offers to him, it's never going to be accepted because it's never what that person recognizes that they need. And so there is almost like, it does feel a little monotone, his kind of narration throughout of it, and his performance is a little, it's not, monotone sounds like a really big part to it. I thought his acting was actually really great in it, but it doesn't really fluctuate. He doesn't go to extremes of emotions very often. But yeah, I think he was trying to deliver consistently what he thought his brother needed, but his brother was never going to ever be receptive to it. And that to me was kind of his arc. That was his message. And to me, that could be perceived in the way that I guess you've seen it to. But for me, it was kind of almost a bit melancholy. It was a bit, God, this is just not quite getting.
I think it makes sense being told. It makes sense being told from the point of Norman. Norman's the only one who understands Paul like that. And
but I'm saying it's not an enjoyable perspective. I don't.
Yeah,
think,
but I have to agree. I have to agree with Jen.
At the end of the film, the father, when he dies, the father is asking Norman, what haven't you told me? What haven't you told me? Sort of thing. Like all he wants is more information, because it shows that he doesn't actually. Yeah, he knows what they're doing day to day, but he doesn't know them on a personal level like that. The only person that knows Paul like that is Norman.
Yeah, but I don't think Norman's perspective, it didn't lend itself to, because he is such a tempered character. He's kind of almost placid throughout, even when he's bringing back, I forget the girlfriend's name, the girlfriend's brother with the sunburn on his back. She's just shouting at him. He kind of just stands there mutely, and then they get a lift back. There's no kind of reaction or fluctuation in character, so it just leads to quite a drab perspective through the movie. And like, if I'm going to watch something for 2 hours as an enjoyment piece to find something interesting or to get a message across, I wonder
how much of that is direction and how much of that is the only other thing I've seen that actor.
I don't think the performance was out of key at all. I thought that it was pretty into who the character was. All of this kind of chaos and shit happening around him, and him just being steadfast, being the straight man in the middle through it all. Like Brad Pitt was, I think, quite a good counterpoint to him, because of his liveliness, because of his, all of his charm and everything. So relative to him, made their brotherhood interesting to me at the start of the film as well. Like when you first see him rejecting his father and not eating the porridge. And then obviously you then see the difference between the older brother and the younger brother. I just thought that showing the where, I suppose, of when they became different, made me appreciate the dynamic between them when they were older. And so that was enjoyable for me to see. So I think the dynamics between him and other characters made up for him maybe being a bit solemn and a bit kind of steadfast and shit by himself.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think it's sort of I agree with both sides of it, in the fact that Norman, he may not have been. It's not that he's an underdeveloped character or whatever, but he may not be the sort of protagonist that we can sort of rely on us to carry us through whilst telling us this story. But I do think he has to be the one to be telling this story. I don't think any other character in this film could be offering it as the protagonist perspective. It just, in terms of he offers the broadest dynamic in terms of knowing all of the characters to offer this perspective. If it was the father, for example, it's a totally different story. It's a story about a father and how he observes his two differing sons.